Val Kilmer on the illness that changed his career and life. The death of Val Kilmer, the brooding actor most well known for his turns as Batman and as Jim Morrison in The Doors, was confirmed yesterday by his daughter Mercedes Kilmer. The 65-year-old actor died from pneumonia following a decade of health problems, including a 2014 throat cancer diagnosis that required 2 tracheotomies. The stress on his throat from the cancer and treatment left Kilmer with a diminished speaking ability. In 2021, filmmakers Leo Scott and Ting released Val, a documentary compiled from more than 800 hours of footage Kilmer had taken over his life, detailing his rise to fame as well as his struggles with sickness. The documentary is written by Kilmer but narrated by his son, Jack, who is also an actor. Opening on Kilmer at the start of his acting career, it quickly veers to an older version deeply enthralled in scrapbooking. I was recently diagnosed with throat cancer, though I healed quickly from the cancer. The extensive radiation and chemotherapy that followed treatment has left my voice impaired, he says through his son. Kilmer sometimes talks straight to the camera, pressing on his throat to speak in a rasp that will shock those used to his robust movie star cadence. He speaks about his need to share the visual archive that he's accumulated over 60 years. I have lived my life and it's sort of all in these boxes, but what is part of the profound sadness is that I know it's incomplete. As much as I filmed and as hard as I've tried, there's nothing I could do to make any of it understood, Kilmer says. Late in his career, just before his illness, Kilmer starred in a stage production about author Mark Twain. In debt from his recent divorce, he sold 6,000 acres, 2,428 hectares, of land he owned in New Mexico and intended to turn into an artist community to fund the production. But after several successful performances of the show, Kilmer began to feel ill. I was getting ready to put on Citizen Twain in Nashville when I lost my voice. I postponed the show for what I thought would be a month or 2. My voice didn't get better, it got worse, and one day I started coughing up blood and was rushed to the hospital, he says. While in hospital, he began to paint again, a hobby he'd picked in his youth. When he got out, he threw himself into making art, founding a studio big enough for his ideas. That studio has become a sacred space where artists gather and collaborate and help the next generation of artists in our community grow, he says. The film cuts to archive interview footage of Kilmer, young and effervescent, as he is asked by an interviewer, "If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say at the pearly gates?" "Well, I had this dream once." Kilmer begins, clear and measured. "Where this happened and she opened would be her arms, that feeling, and enveloped me and said, 'I love you.